Hello, party people. This is Benton, aka 730, coming at you again with another public service announcement. Today, instead of talking about these crazy women and relationship problems, we're going to talk about my love for the game. The reason why I do this game channel, even though I'm not getting paid for it, constantly putting out videos and whatever these things are when I'm sitting here talking. It's not a podcast because it's not live, but you get the point. Let's see here. Nintendo, I think, was the first game system I remember in my lifetime, but I didn't like that shit at all. It was just something to do at the time. When Super Nintendo came out, that was the shit. And I had Street Fighter 2 Turbo for like a whole year, the only game I had, and I mastered that shit. I beat the game with all 12 characters on the hardest difficulty. I knew all the moves and shit. And that created my love for fighting games, because I think Street Fighter 1 was like the first official fighting game other than Karate Champ back on Nintendo. But anyway, Street Fighter 2 introduced me to Mortal Kombat and Killer Instinct and Tekken and Soul Calibur and all the Naruto and Dragon Ball Z games, all the fighting games that I still play to this day on my PS4 because I still can't afford a PS5, but we'll get there. Um, yeah, and let's see here, after Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64 wasn't really my shit. I had one, but I think my favorite game on there was that Star Wars Pod Racing. If you knew how to play it, it was all right. But PS1, when they came out with Resident Evil, I fell in love with that franchise and with Capcom as a company because they also made Street Fighter 2. So and then I discovered they made Devil May Cry. So Capcom became one of my favorite things. The Marvel vs. Capcom games, all the different variations of Street Fighter games, and all the other Marvel games they came out with, like X-Men, Children of the Atom, and Marvel superheroes and things like that. So I continued with my RPGs and stuff like that. I was introduced to Final Fantasy on Nintendo and picked it back up on PS1 when Final Fantasy 7 and 8 came out. And I had both of those games where it had like 3 or 4 discs, and I got them from a pawn shop. So the last disc never worked. So I never finished those games until I bought like the remastered editions on PS4 and had to go back and play them all over again. But it was still fun. I got the experience out of it that I wanted to. The God of War series was always one of my favorite ones. Kratos I identify with just like the Joker. Any game that the Joker was in was one of my favorites. Super Mario World was my favorite Mario game. All the ones before that were kind of, you know. So ever since video games came out in color, I've been playing them all the way up until the next generation systems. I got about 12 PS5 games, but I don't have a system for it yet. But we're going to take care of all that very soon. But yeah, I know it sounds like I'm just rambling, but I respect video games because when you go to a movie, it's a bunch of people putting together a story visually so that you can enjoy it, maybe based off a comic book or just some scripts somebody wrote or maybe a novel. But after the movie's over, the enjoyment is done and you can watch it all over again. But once you've seen it once, you've seen it. Now, a video game is made almost exactly like a movie. You have actors doing the motion capture suits, so they have to act out all the stuff they're doing in the game and memorize lines and make it believable. And on top of that, you get to play along with the game. So it's like you're part of the movie. And when it's done, you play it all over again. And it's a different story every single time you play it, unless you play one of those games where everything just happens on cue. I like games where you basically choosing your own adventure, deciding how you want to finish the mission. And I love games with free open worlds where you can just travel around and do whatever you want. I came up with that idea back when Nintendo first came out. I wish I had a game where you could walk around and do anything, drive cars, shoot guns. And then they came out with Grand Theft Auto. So that was like a dream come true. And Saints Row was even better because it took that and made it funny. I like silly shit. You know what I mean? Like my favorite rappers are Redman and Eminem. Well, my favorite older rappers. My new favorite rappers are The Baby and Honeycomb Brazy. But anyway, I like different shit. I've never been a clone, one of those people that sits down and likes whatever comes out because everybody else likes it. I always like the thing that nobody else likes until they find out about it years later and discover I was already up on that. When people wanted to watch 106 in Park, I made them watch Dragon Ball Z at my house. You know what I mean? Bunch of drug dealers watching anime, but hey, it is what it is. Well, that's all the time we have for today. This is JR Benton, aka 730, with another public service announcement. Love for the game. I love video games. I always have and always will. My kids love them, and my kids' will love them. So this is going to be a multi-generational thing. I'm trying to get paid off this channel so I can pass that down, and we can keep it in the family. Goodbye.